40 years ago, when I was the ripe old age of 20, the world was a different place. I couldn't pick up my cell phone and watch YouTube videos to learn to cook, or learn about the spirit world. I couldn't text my husband to bring home dinner on his way home from the office. If I wanted to learn about something, all I could do was open a book at the library or ask around. And if I needed to contact my husband, I had to pick up the giant cordless phone and call his office well before he left if I expected him to stop for anything. But this isn't a story about how different life is now. It's the story of my experience learning about the paranormal, firsthand. My husband and I purchased our first home about 2 years after being married. He worked in advertising, and I stayed home tending to the house and our first baby. She was born a year into our marriage, and we both agreed it was the best for me to stay home with her. We didn't want strangers caring for our precious bundle of joy. We saved as much as possible those first 2 years to buy our first home, only having takeout on rare special occasions, driving his beat-up pickup truck from college, and not buying each other elaborate gifts for holidays. And finally, we did it. We put in an offer the second week of May, and by mid-June, we were unpacking our new home. "This is so surreal," my husband said, putting his arm around my shoulders and the other hand on our daughter's back. "I know, it finally happened," I said, tears in my eyes. "I'll go pop open the bottle of wine the realtor left us, and you go sit down and try not to let that one make you get up to chase her right away," he said, pointing at our daughter Sam. After we put Sam down for bed and ate our grown-up dinner, we were sitting on the couch in front of the fireplace, watching some 80s sitcom, probably Roseanne. My husband fell asleep, as he often did when we watched TV in the evenings. But this night, his sleep didn't last long, because the TV suddenly started making that horrible static noise that only us old-timers are familiar with. Somehow, the TV changed to static and the volume was on full blast. "What the heck happened?" my husband asked. I'm not sure. A new episode just started and suddenly that happened," I said, pointing to the TV. I hit the mute button as quickly as possible, then switched it back to the channel we were on. Neither of us thought too much about it. We figured it must have just been a glitch. "It's probably about time to replace that old thing anyway," I said, as we retreated to our room for our first night of sleep in the new house. With the baby sleeping soundly in her nursery next door, I drifted off to sleep, reminding myself to keep an eye out for deals on TVs in the upcoming weeks. My motherly instincts woke me up sometime later. At the time, I just thought I woke up for no reason, but now I know it was my motherly instincts. About a minute after I opened my eyes, I heard something in our daughter's nursery. I flew out of bed, not knowing what I was hearing, but just feeling off. Back then, we didn't have those fancy baby monitors they have now, so I couldn't just look at a screen and immediately see what the commotion was. I sprinted to our door, flung it open all the way, and ran over to her bedroom door. I always kept it slightly open so we could hear her clearly, so all I had to do was nudge it open. I remember feeling so scared in this moment, not knowing what I was going to be met with on the other side of her bedroom door. Heart racing, I flung it open. My knees buckled and I almost passed out when I saw my daughter, somehow outside of her crib, which, by the way, she was way too little to get out of by herself. Sitting in the rocking chair, seemingly rocking herself while wrapped up in a blanket. But her feet didn't even come near close to touching the ground in that chair. So who was rocking her? When I say I flew over to her, I mean I almost grew wings. That's how quickly I moved. I knocked a stack of diapers off her changing table, just from the wind I produced from moving so quickly. She was happy to see me, seemingly perfectly content, just smiling and giggling like she always did when I entered her room to get her up in the mornings or after naps. That night she slept with us. I was afraid of co-sleeping, but I was more afraid of whatever I had just witnessed. But that unfortunately wasn't the last of the incidents. We were all peacefully tucked in, our daughter fast asleep finally, and my husband reassuring me she had to have gotten out by herself. And she wasn't rocking, the chair was just moving from the motion of her climbing into it. I didn't really buy his justification, but I wanted it to be true instead of the alternative. Finally, a short time after my husband drifted back to sleep, I did as well. When I woke next, it was because I felt motion at the end of the bed. I was paralyzed in fear, and I couldn't help myself. I let out the loudest scream I'd ever heard, scaring my husband and waking the baby. There was a shadowy figure at the bottom of my bed, slowly pulling the covers off of all of us. When I screamed, she froze and looked up, straight at us. Then, just like that, she was gone. Back then, it wasn't easy to find someone to investigate or try doing a cleanse. We were devastated, but we had to pack up and stay back at my parents' house until the old one sold. It took a while, because we were honest and disclosed that it was potentially haunted. But our next house was even better. We'd been able to save more in the year we were back at home again. Ouch. I'm sorry your first house ended up being haunted, and I'm glad your daughter's okay. Thanks for writing in. Stories like this are the exact reason I created this channel. If you have a paranormal story to share, email it to the address in the description below. Please like the video and subscribe if you haven't. And with that, see you tomorrow, friends.